for confirmation. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hey, everybody. Just going to give folks a moment to join. We're going to be jumping in just a moment. If you are here live, how's my audio? I'm testing something new. Hopefully it's okay. All right, today we're going to be talking about what to do if you are struggling to find great board members. So if you have had a hard time recruiting the right board members, committed board members, skilled board members, we'll talk about what skilled should mean. Today is a good day for you because we're going to be talking about how to fix those things. And I will show you why sometimes it feels so hard and what you can do to attract more board members or go out and find more board members. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons why it's hard to find the right board members. First of all, a lot of nonprofits have been given bad advice about finding board members. They have been told, and maybe this is you, they have been told that they need to find a lawyer and an accountant and, the various professions. You don't need those folks on your board. They have been told to build a board of donors, people with a lot of money who are going to give to your nonprofit. That becomes very problematic for a few reasons. One is there are plenty of people with money who would like to give but don't want the extra responsibility and work of being on your board. Two is if we build a board of wealthy people, we inherit all the systemic biases onto our boards. So we get boards, we actually end up promoting our boards to perpetuate the systems of power that often lead to folks being wealthy. And we really don't want people with wealth to be joining our boards as a mechanism for exerting their influence on how our organizations are run. That's not a healthy dynamic. And I would actively avoid board members who want to join your board to primarily increase their own status or increase the amount of influence they have over how your organization is run. So if we can shift to a new mindset about what we want as a board member, it starts to get a little easier to fill that role. So what do we want as a board member? A great board member, I like to say two things. We want people who are critical thinkers, actually three things, critical thinkers, who will read reports, right? Who will look at the information about the organization that's being provided. And three, will have the conversation in the room, meaning they're not afraid to speak up, ask questions, share their true feelings and opinions in the group at the board. Now, sometimes there's some cultural shifts that need to happen in order for everybody to feel comfortable having the conversation in the room. But there are certainly many people who are just ready to have the conversation in the room, and it isn't their tendency to have the parking lot conversation, which we have less of these days on Zoom. I think the parking lot conversation on Zoom these days is the people who are maybe secretly texting each other while they're on the Zoom call with each other, having a side conversation. We don't want that. Okay, so we want the conversation in the room in front of everybody, critical thinking, and we'll read the reports. Now, another really important thing for attracting more board members is many of us have bylaws and board job descriptions that ask too much of our boards. We have made the job too big, too laborious, too encompassing, and it's causing two things. One, people don't want to join our board because it's too much work. It is unrealistic for the part-time volunteer time that they have. And two, we have given our boards kind of more power than is really healthy. So it's a win-win. When we depower our boards a little, we reduce the expectations of how much work and how much responsibility boards have. We make it an easier, more fun job to have. If we ask our board members to be hold all the responsibility, do the work, right? Actually volunteer for additional things, not just board meetings. We are really setting ourselves up for an unreasonable job. That might have worked if you were like a wealthy aristocrat person who didn't need to work for money and had both money and lots of time on your hands. But that is not the world that most of our board members are living in today. Okay, so we make the board job easier. We make the expectations more realistic. And I'm not going to go into that today, but I am going into that tomorrow on a workshop that I am giving on the 4 decisions that effective boards make. And I will put the link for that in the chat. It's the 4 decisions that define every effective board. And let me just pop it in the chat here. I'll make sure it's in later. I'm getting some kind of weird tinks. We don't want that. All right, let me pop it in the chat here. If you want to hear more about developing a reasonable job description, there it is. If you're not seeing it, I'll make sure I post it again after I sign off. Okay, so let's talk about finding those board members. Those board members. So 1, always be making a list of potential board members, people who will read the information, people who will are critical thinkers, people who care about your mission, right? So always be looking, always building that list of potential board members as you're just out in the world. Oh, this person might be good. And let's just keep that connection for when we need a board member. 2, use LinkedIn. So you can go on LinkedIn, you can literally search for people who are open to board service and people who are on boards, right? People who are like on boards are often willing to be on more than one board. So, and then you can filter by like your location, if you have a location specific nonprofit, or by your interests, right? You can just use search terms to see what they're interested in. So that is one way. Another way to also use LinkedIn is to look for retired executive directors or nonprofit CEOs. These folks make great board members because they know how things work. They can have good oversight, right? Double checking. They can be good guides, supporters, and champions. And they often want to do board service because they gave so much of their life to improving nonprofits. And now they still want to do that, even though they don't want all the work of doing it. So a board member position is a great spot for them. And they're not likely to overstep because been there, done that, right? I do want you to avoid having board members who are actually the executive directors actively of other nonprofits. I see this a lot, and there's such a kind of base level conflict of interest, right? An executive director of a nonprofit or any kind of leadership position of a nonprofit really needs to be focusing like first priority needs to be supporting the nonprofit that they work for. And so that means that your organization shouldn't be their first priority. And you don't want board members who can't make your organization kind of first priority when it comes to, making connections, charitable giving, things like that. Okay. So we've covered adjusting the board job so that it is more attractive. We've talked about always be looking for potential board members wherever you are in the world. We've talked about using LinkedIn search for people who are interested in board search, as well as using search for people who are retired executive directors. Excuse me. The last thing I want to say about finding folks is to put the word out. Think of it like, if we put a job posting out and we don't have a lot of candidates, then there's something wrong with the post, right? And we should be getting a lot of candidates. We should have lots of people who want to join. So we need to make it sound attractive. So make it sound attractive, right? And think carefully about what is your process of evaluating, selecting, and onboarding board members. So think about it like placing an ad, right? This is marketing as we reach out and say, who would like to be on our board? Oh, and I can't believe I almost forgot. There are organizations of people who help fill boards. So look for them. Look for groups. You can go to chambers of commerce groups. There are, groups of business owners for people of color, for women, things like that. So, go out there proactively and say, hey, we're always looking for board members. Is anybody we should be getting to know? Think of them, I said, think of that outreach. Think of the posts as an ad. And think of it, another way to think of it is think of them like attracting a donor, right? Get to know them. It's relational. Make sure, that you like hanging out with them. The last thing I want to say is, in addition to having a great and reasonable and clear job description for your board members, building that joyful, collaborative culture on your board so that a board member who's on your board can really recommend it to somebody else wholeheartedly. Because I'm not, like, if I'm on your board, and don't ask me because I don't join boards, it's kind of a conflict of interest with my clients. But if I were on a board, I've been on many in the past, if it feels icky, I'm not going to invite my best connections to come be on the board because I wouldn't do that to them. So, clean up your house first. And last thing I'll say related to that is, if your board is kind of messed up, it is okay to shrink. It is okay to come down to a board of just 3 people to get everything cleaned up and great, and then grow again, right? That is an okay way to regroup. Until next time, I wish you all the best. And I hope to see some of you tomorrow on the training. I think, let me just make sure. I think the link showed up in Facebook and YouTube, but maybe not on LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and put there. Let's see. Here we go. Come on, give me a comment. Yay. Okay. Let me paste. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, I'm putting the link to the workshop that I'm giving in there now. So I think everybody should be able to have the link. It is, if you're still with me, I see we have 7 people here. So I'm about to give you a gift. Don't go away. If you want to attend the workshop, you'll see it's $7. No big deal. But if you want to pay even less, which sometimes folks do because you are here watching this video, you'll see on that page there is a coupon code spot, and you can put the word free, F-R-E-E, in that coupon code and access it for free. One tip though is, because it still makes you enter payment information, if you just put in the free code and then click PayPal, it doesn't actually make you put in any information. So that's my gift for you for staying to the end. I really appreciate your time. Funmi, hey, thank you. And I will see some of you tomorrow and hopefully the rest of you next week for a new topic. Do you want to know what it is? We're going to be talking about how having the wrong budgeting priorities might be holding your nonprofit back.